Hello and welcome back to week 5 of our series here at the Carlisle Med Gym. We're talking about smart core training, and the past 4 weeks we've started by going over 4 kind of baseline core exercises for the 4 compartments or components of core training that I like to hone in on. So we talked about the Palloff press, which is a rotary stability core exercise. We talked about the curl up, which is an anterior stability core exercise. We talked about the bird dog, posterior stability, and we talked about the side plank for lateral core stability. So as I mentioned last week, we're going to start branching out and go with some progressions and some variations on these core exercises, all with the same concepts in mind of maintaining stability around the midsection, creating strength and endurance at the core without compromising spine health. So today we're going to go back to the anterior core and we're going to talk about an exercise called the dead bug. It may sound funny, and I'll show you why it's called that in a minute. But one of the concepts that we want to hone in on as we do this core training, and one that is great with the dead bug, is the concept of proximal stability and distal mobility. What I mean by that is the core is bracing and creating stiffness, while at the same time your shoulders, your hips, your extremities are creating movement. And the body works most efficiently and effectively when we have stability here and we're creating movement and power at the hips, the shoulders. Vice versa, if you're too stiff at the hips or the shoulders and you're creating movement and power at the spine, that's when things start to wear down and break down. So the dead bug that we'll talk about today is great for training that. The other concept we're going to talk about is the concept of neutral spine. And what I mean by that is when you have a spine that is either excessively extended or flexed, you're not in a safe and an optimal core position. So the spine works best when it's in a neutral alignment. The spine has a natural curve to it, not perfectly straight up and down, but we want to just maintain those natural curves. So not too flattened out, not too arched up off the ground. So to find neutral spine and to start in on the dead bug, we're going to sit up on the table here and I'll walk you through it. So laying down on the back, first of all, finding neutral spine, you're just going to take hands, place them on your pelvis or on your midsection right here, and all you're going to do is do some nice easy rocks. So you want to roll your low back flat into the table, arch it off the table as far as it can comfortably go, and you're just going to do a couple rounds and just find the middle point of that feels most comfortable, the least amount of tension. And that for you is likely your neutral spine position where the spine should be kind of resting. So it's not flattened out into the table, it's not way arched up, it's kind of right in the middle. So once we get that position, now the goal is to brace and maintain stiffness and stability around the core. So once we're here, that's the goal. Now we're going to move the extremities. So I call this a dead bug because you start with arms and legs off the ground. And so you look like a dead bug. So arms are straight to the ceiling, knees are at a 90-degree angle with the hips, and you're going from here out with opposite arm and leg extending away from your center. So the shoulder is extending, the hip is extending, and you're maintaining that core stability. So here and back up. You'll notice as I'm doing that, I'm still bracing here. I'm not going into an arched position. I'm not excessively flattening the back into the table. It's maintaining that neutral spine. So that's the dead bug. There's a couple of variations I'd like to show you because not everyone's ready to jump into this. So to take it down a little bit, we can start, especially if you're a real low level or you're just starting into some of this core training, you can just take it down by just keeping your feet on the table and arms up to the ceiling. And you can even just do leg movement to start. So maintaining that neutral spine, bracing, kicking out, not losing that position at the core. So that's your main focus is here, no movement as you extend the hip. From there we can start adding arms in, nice and controlled, come up and then eventually progress to the full dead bug. Okay, so once we get into that, once you get to the full version, I usually like to do sets of 6 to 10 reps depending on how you're doing, 2 or 3 sets. And again, the focus is not on how many you can do, but on how well you can do it. So maintaining that position, if you're really bracing and you're really conscious of this, it's gonna be a lot more challenging than you think it might be. So maintain that neutral spine, work on moving at the shoulder and hip, and that's the dead bug.